Hello guys and dolls, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, warm welcome. I'm gonna get right into it. So yeah, this is gonna be I'm gonna try not to be too fast and furious as I was before. The first video I was a little tentative, so I was a bit nervous. The second video I think I went too fast. So this is yet again another paranormal or not video. I hope you're interested in knowing what I have to say or what all the research I've put together for this particular video. And again, if I hadn't said it before, all this information is coming from David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret. I would never try to feed you something or take something from someone else and give it to you as mine, because it isn't. I basically went through and tried to find him wrong, tried to find things that were not quite right, and I couldn't. Through all my research online, library, YouTube, internet, I just found more and more information to corroborate and support everything that I'm telling you right now. So that's the basis of, my videos. I just wanted to kind of put that out there in case you didn't know, in case you were just still like, what are you saying? What is this about? Why are you doing this? And if this is me adding to that pot to awaken people and to let people know what's actually going on or help them understand what's really going on, then like I said, if only one person believes or awakens, my job is done. Alrighty, so ascension to power, the few controlling the many. Over thousands of years, the reptilian full-bloods and crossbreeds have created a web of interconnecting secret societies to enforce their agenda without the masses ever knowing. In the 12th century, there were 3 secret societies that emerged, which still exist today, and I've added a couple more that you might already be aware of. So the 12th century, there were the Knights Templar, the Knights Hospitaller of St. John, Jerusalem, Teutonic Knights. So those were the 3 from ancient times, and the newer one would be Skull and Bones Society in Connecticut, which I believe all the Bushes were a part of, and I think Clinton as well. The Freemasons, which I know you've heard a lot about them, they're the ones who pretty much designed Washington, D.C. and many of the buildings around the world, and the Illuminati, which is a whole nother story, but that is one of them. These are the secret societies that when you hear their names, that's when you should be like, what, who, when, where, why, what's going on? So, advanced knowledge inherited by the Templars was that of the Earth's energy grid, the network of magnetic force lines known as ley lines, dragon lines, or meridians. The major sacred sites are where many of these lines cross, creating enormous vortices of energy. If you perform a black magic ritual and human sacrifice at these points, the deeply negative energy it produces is carried on the force lines, emanating from the vortex and pumped throughout the network. This affects the vibrational state of the Earth's magnetic energy field within which we all live. If that energy is full of fear, people will more likely to feel that emotion. Fear is the 4-letter word that controls the world. Why? Because who do you know that's not afraid? Who do you know that's not afraid about how they're going to pay their rent, how they're going to pay for college, how they're going to, take care of the medical bills, if people who don't have health, the job situation, and of course, banking. What's going to happen to all of you who have been saving for eons and eons? What's going to happen should this whole structure fall apart? That is how they control. I think I dove into this a little bit more in my previous video, so I'll leave it at that. Satanism. The black magic rituals known as Satanism are the modern expressions of the rituals and human sacrifices in ancient Babylon. The Brotherhood infiltrated societies of the Sumerian, Phoenician, Hittite, Egyptian, Canaanite, Akkadian people, among many people all over the world. Believe it or not, this is what the Babylonian Brotherhood is all about. That is their foundation, that's where they come from, that's their true religion, and that is what they follow. As you may or may not know, there is a perverse inversion used in Satanism. For example, the Nazi swastika. The swastika did not always represent Hitler, as well as the Star of David, which wasn't always, it wasn't meant to be a negative symbol, period. Sacrifice and the drinking of blood is because the blood contains life force energy. Consuming menstrual blood is a necessity for the reptilian bloodlines because they need the blood to stay in this dimension. Believe it or not. The female cycle is governed by the cycles of the moon, and the blood contains that energy. I mean, what more can I say? Satanism is based on manipulation of energy and consciousness. The sick rituals create an energy field of vibrational frequency which connects the unconscious of the participants to the reptilians and other consciousness of the lower fourth dimension. And if you don't remember what is in the lower fourth dimension, usually the fallen angels, demons, and obviously the reptilians that have a big part in the way that humanity has evolved on the planet. Rituals take place at night because that's when the magnetic field is most stable. It is most stable during the solar eclipses. And you can look into that you can find masses and masses of information on the Earth's magnetic field. If you don't believe this, then that's fine, but definitely believe that we are vibration, we vibrate, we're definitely connected to the Earth. And like I said, I don't know how you would ever believe in the law of attraction if you can't even begin to fathom that any of this is true or not true, depending on what your perspective is. My main point is, you've got to decide paranormal or not. Okay, so reptilian breeds and breeding programs. So I'm going to go into a little bit about the small group of reptilians. And again, I have to reiterate, I have to remind you that there are different types. And I know I said this in a previous video, there are different types of reptilians. We have those in the lower fourth dimension, which are controlling, they're pretty much possessing people in this frequency, and they're ruling. That would be the ruling forces, the royal families around the world. And again, I went into all of that. So hopefully you remember that this is a very, very, very small group of people that I'm talking about. Because if you don't have a job in the government, if you're not related by marriage or in any other way to someone that might be of royal blood, or that, again, works directly in, you're not connected to any type of high military force or government agency or anything like that, they're not going to be in our everyday society. Yeah, they do kidnap and they do, the UFOs come in and they take some of us. But again, you have to be living in very specific places, Colorado, Arizona, certain parts of California. I'm pretty sure here as well, where I live in the area of New York, but it's not as prevalent. You don't have to go out and get an Uzi and be afraid that they're going to come for you, because it's definitely not at that point yet. And, that's not the way we're going to fight this. And again, that's coming up. I'm going to try to give you some ways of dealing and fighting back and, not feeling like this is all out of our hands, because it's not. So let me continue. Okay, there are many sub and crossbreed races for the reptilians. Some are said not to be a danger to humankind, and that is, I think, that may have some truth. We just don't know which ones. Again, I'm talking about a very small reptilian factor here, and this small factor is the one that I'm talking about. Supposedly there are other reptilian races, aliens that are trying to help us, but again, this information is so touch and go that you really don't know what's 100% the truth and what isn't. But anyway, okay, so the Draco, elite per UFO researchers between 7 to 12 feet tall, with wings which are flaps of skin supported by long ribs and fold against the body. This is where the term winged serpent comes from and fallen angels come from. Gargoyles are also symbols of them. The cape worn by Dracula is symbolic of their wings. And these are known as the dragon race. Some ancient gods were described and depicted as birdmen. Albino whites, highest caste, have cone-like horns midway between the brow at the top of the skull. Ancient gods were depicted as wearing horn headdresses symbolic of royal reptilians, hence the headgear of royalty throughout the world. And because of this small little piece of information that I'm telling you, I think if you have an open mind, you can assume that's where all the crowns came from, all the headgear of the royalty around the world. This is where it was cast from. And of course, if these albino whites, meaning their skin is as white as snow. I mean, I'm not talking about just pale skin, just skin like we would have if we were white or black or red or, you know, yellow, or me, like I'm like a beigey yellow, whatever. Nope. I'm talking about this color. This is the color that they were, a paper snow white. But again, with all the race wars and everything, all the prejudice and things that are out there, because these also had these albino whites had electric blue eyes. So are you getting it? Is it connecting? I hope some of this is connecting with you. Okay, so other species. The soldier class and scientists are known as reptoids. They don't have wings, but all are cold-blooded. They all need warmth and the nutrients in blood to maintain them. Scales are much larger on their backs, have 3 fingers with an opposable thumb. They have three toes with the 4th, it's kind of hard to explain, with the 4th towards the side of their ankle, and their claws are blunt and short. Large cat-like eyes which glow red with a slit for a mouth. Some have black eyes and others with flame-colored vertical pupils. Some have tails and others don't. One planet they were known to influence was Mars. Per Zachariah Sitchin, Anunnaki went to Mars before coming to Earth. When the reptilians invaded Mars, the white Martians were said to have come to Earth with the Anunnaki not far behind. So the Martians, I'm trying to keep all this very clear, the Martians that were on Mars were also of that very extremely white, pale skin with blue eyes. Okay, and the white race, whatever its origin, has been the main vehicle of the Anunnaki cross-breeding program for the takeover of planet Earth. They are in control of the Greys, which are reptilian underneath their skins. They also have alliances with other extraterrestrial groups. So it gets real complicated real quick, because it's not only them, it's a bunch of other factors, other aliens. It's extremely involved. That's why I recommend do your research, read some books, so that you can further kind of get a better understanding of all of this. Genes of the albino white royal Draco appear to have been used to create the royal human hybrid bloodlines, which have been used to rule the world since ancient times. Major changes happened during 5000 and 4000 BC, because remember, these reptilians, they ruled out in the open at one point. So their information was known, it was in every place of worship, the churches knew what was going on, the heads of state knew what was going on, they recognized them, they were recognized by the people. And now, Iraq, people worship gods who are depicted as lizard humanoids. So there is all this symbolism of them. They were openly, you know, praying to them and worshiping them. And then all of a sudden, whatever happened, something happened, and of course, you know what happened. They just pulled all the information and decided to hide it because they ruled overtly, and then they started wanting to rule covertly. So between 4000 and 2000 BC, Sumerians depict their gods as human. So explain that. All right, so the start of the Babylonian Brotherhood. If those of you are like, who the hell and what the hell is the Babylonian Brotherhood? This is the start of it. This is how it was created. And this is, again, hundreds of thousands of years ago. I'm trying to give you a basis so that when I get into the more modern times, you're not like, what the hell? Okay, so the reptile Aryan, because that's what they were called, the white race or reptile human, these were the crossbreed bloodlines created from the genetic manipulation of the Anunnaki, the major center for the reptilian Aryan bloodlines in the ancient world after the floodwaters. So, when I say floodwaters, all of you who are Catholic or Christian, you need to go back to Noah's Ark, you need to go back to that story, because this is right after that happens. So, I'm reading the book of Enoch now, things are falling into place for me and I understand it a little better. Before Noah's Ark, supposedly the world was in a better state. We were in a state of utopia. We were living the way we were meant to live on this planet. And after this is when the Babylonian Brotherhood popped up, because we somehow gave our power away and we decided to pick a lighter term, we turned to the dark side. That's my understanding. But anyway, the flood waters receded, and it was the Babylonians in the south of the Sumer region alongside the river Euphrates which were left. A lot of them were left alive, and this is where it begins. So the founder of Babylon, according to ancient texts and legends, the founder of Babylon was Nimrod, who reigned with his wife, Queen Semiramis. Nimrod was described as a tyrant and one of the giants. The Arabs believe that after the Great Flood, it was Nimrod who built or rebuilt the amazing structure at Baalbek in the Lebanon with its 3 stones weighing 800 tons. These 2 beings became known as Titans, and everybody knows who the Titans are. If you go back to Greece, they were known as the Titans. The reptile-possessed humans and full-blood reptilians. These giants, Titans, were said to be the descendants of Noah, as in the Book of Enoch. They both have remained the key deities of the Brotherhood to this day under many different names. The only thing that has changed is that they, throughout them, going through the earth and taking over and beginning religions, the only thing that has changed is their names. And if you go through history and you start going through all the names, and you can kind of match it back up to the Sumerian clay tablets. So I'm sorry, how is that coincidence? That can't all be a coincidence. But let's move on. Okay, there is a lot more, but these 2 have been the keys to every religion on the planet. They have used symbolism that seems positive to the masses, but has the opposite meaning to them. So that's the way, that's how they rolled. They would put their symbolism out there, and it was to us good and holy, and we worshipped it, and it was great, but to them it was the exact opposite. So for example, the fish, which is also for the Catholic religion, it means faith, Son of God, Jesus. That's what I think of when I think of the fish in the Catholic religion. To them, because the fish has scales, represents their skin, which is the reptilian skin. The dove, to the Catholic faith, it means Holy Spirit, peace, faith. To them, is death and destruction. The symbolism, their symbolism, is in every religion throughout the history of humanity. Now, there are 3 main elements of the Babylonian religion: fire, serpent, and blood. All 3 are used in symbolism for the religions created for the stupid humans, but these things meant far more to them. For example, the sun. The sun has a diameter of 864,000 miles and contains 99% of the matter in the solar system. This massive energy travels to the earth. Everything is energy. Life is the interaction of magnetic vibrational fields, and if you change the magnetism, and you just change the nature of the energy field. They knew it could be harnessed for massive good or massive evil. We did not, and we pretty much still don't. And let me just make sure that I've said this correctly. It contains 99% of the matter in the solar system. This massive energy travels to the earth. Everything is energy. Life is the interaction of magnetic vibrational fields. Change the magnetism and you change the nature of the energy field. Sorry, I said that a little better the second time around. And like I said, they knew it and we did not. A lot of people still don't. So when the Babylonian Brotherhood and its reptilian bloodlines began to expand from the Middle and Near East, it went to Egypt, then into Europe, then into the Americas. It formulated the basis of all religions today. Christianity was one of the main religions, manipulated, distorted symbolically to mean positivity, light, hope, holiness, and peace and love to the masses, but under their hidden agenda, codes, lies, it meant the opposite and still does, as Christianity swept through across the world, a world where humans knew exactly who and what these reptilian beings were. It was decided they should no longer rule out in the open. Everything and anything that could lead back to them was stripped clean, and all that remained was what we have today: tiny truths covered in cryptic stories, half-truths, and confusing symbolism. Now, some of the things that were hidden and removed through the course of Christianity, through the course of that religion that dominated through that period of time. One of them, and there are many more, but this is the main one I want to focus on, was the persecution of supposed witches. And you know that there have been several of mass, murdering and killing of people with any type of gifts. So witches are considered to have that female energy to them. They were the channelers, mediums, psychics, and seers of all kinds. They wanted these specific powers and gifts for themselves. They already had them. They didn't want anybody else to use them, to teach them, to just be a part of all that they knew could be used for massive good or massive bad. When we are healthy and we are open, we connect with our environment and draw in limitless amount of energies. The tremendous amounts of stress inflicted by religion, especially in earlier days, caused a major imbalance, and it just caused us to believe that we were damned. It was massive fear, massive guilt. It was just really, 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 there's a reason why they call it the Dark Ages. We had a golden age and then we had a dark age, but those dark ages, let me tell you, they were really dark. And you have to understand that our body is energy. We have 7 chakras, and all of that negativity, everything that they were doing interfered with our 7 chakras, who are supposed to work in connection with the planet. And the 7 chakras, in case you didn't know, they're called chakras, or they're called a vortex system. One is the crown chakra, there's the third eye, there's the throat chakra, there's the heart chakra, there's your solar plexus chakra, there's the sacral chakra, and then the base chakra. And the solar plexus is the one that I use the most, the one that for me is the biggest gift of them all, because it helps me to make decisions based on my feelings, which 9 times out of 10, my feelings are always right, especially when I get that gut feeling. So other forms of control. The other forms of control that they have over the planet and over everyone is through drugs, education, media, and especially fluoride in the water. Fluoride was once used as a rat poison. So this needs to be really clear. You can look it up, you can Google it, research it. It was once used as rat poison. It's an it's an intellect suppressant, and it calcifies the pineal gland, and it makes you not as intuitive as we were born to be. And unfortunately, and I'm sorry to say to everyone who is studying to be a dentist or a hygienist, fluoride has nothing to do with teeth. So you're pretty much helping that whole system to pretty much but you really are helping the agenda when you insist that fluoride is good for you and is good for your teeth and is good for the body, because it absolutely 100% isn't. And I'm sorry, maybe that's my opinion, but I think with all the facts that are out there, it's kind of silly to, in my opinion, it is silly to believe that fluoride is good for you. Children or virgins are used in sacrificial rituals because the Satanists and the reptilian masters want to access the pure prepubescent energy for their own purposes. And an example of this is regeneration rituals for the aging. That's one of the thousands of rituals they do, including the unbelievable massacre of children that is happening all around the world today. Per the psychopath Aleister Crowley, and again, my opinion, so I believe Aleister Crowley is a 100% psychopath. Children, especially a young, innocent male of high intelligence, was the best victim. He supposedly performed such sacrifices 150 times every year between 1912 and 1928. And this is his quote, by the way. This is not something that I made up. I actually tried to find the actual quote. I wish I could show you, but this is supposedly his quote. And so between 1912 and 1928, 16 years, he was a part of rituals where 2,400 children were killed. Now, the following dates are when the most children are killed in sacrificial ritual. February 1st and 2nd, which is Candlemas, which is Candlemas. March 21st and 22nd, the spring equinox. April 30th, May 1st, Walpurgis Night, Beltane. June 21st and 22nd, summer solstice. July 31st, August 1st, Lammas, Great Sabbath Festival. September 21st, September 22nd, the autumn equinox. October 31st, November 1st, Samhain, Halloween, and December 21st and 22nd, winter solstice and Yule. These are the dates that basically you can either do massive, massive good, or you can take it to do massive, massive evil. These are all the things, these are all the words that I was told. These are evil. These times I am not to read anything about this. I am not to know about, these are all pagan holidays. These are for pagans. This is for, I was just guided and always warded off from wanting to know about these things. And now I know why. And now I know why. It has nothing to do with, it being bad, because as I just said previously, during these times is when the Earth's magnetic field is most powerful, and when only one specific type of person who decides to turn to the dark side is using these dates for their own agenda. What do you think is happening? Why do you think the world is the way it is today? Do you think any of this is coincidence? I mean, I know it's up to you to decide whether this is paranormal or not, but I think that, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious why things are happening the way they are. And wouldn't it be wonderful if people took time to learn about these dates and these times and where these ley lines are, so that maybe, you could go there and do something positive. That's one way to fight back. That's one way to change the magnetic energy of the world and put it back somewhat to what we had before, and stop living this mundane, ridiculous life that we're living with, under just a few people's thumb, because they want control and they want us as pretty much drugged slave zombies, because that's pretty much what they want. But anyway, let me continue because I'm getting a little too hot. These dates are times of great powerful energies. So moving on to a few other examples of people who were into and knew all this information. Benjamin Franklin. He was a founding father of the United States, and he was a member of the Hellfire Club. Now, just really quick, if you're a person who doesn't like to listen to a lot of talk, and you're like getting tired of listening to me, there is a show that I follow that I've followed for over 10 years. It's Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins. He dedicated one episode to the Hellfire Club, where he actually goes there and you can see it, and he tells you things about it. And if you want to be entertained in that way, you can always watch. I'm pretty sure the episode is on YouTube about the Hellfire Club. But yeah, 6 bodies of children and 4 adults have been found under his home in London, dated to the time he lived there. Other Satanists from the past include Adolf Hitler, Winston Churchill, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The names go on and on. Right into today, the highest levels of the Satanic Network lock into the highest levels of the Brotherhood, but the lower levels are not allowed to know the true nature of the organizations they are involved in. And again, that's another example of how this is a very, very small group of people that have control. And again, like I said, you've got your reptilians that are controlling from the lower 4th dimension, and they have the control over these human beings, which are the ruling families and the government officials. All of those people of the highest power are the ones that are usually a part of all of that. And it trickles down. And again, I hope that in the videos, in my previous video and in this video, you're beginning to see how it connects and how it happens and the things that are happening because of what they're doing. So yeah, I'm going to end this video. It's up to you to decide whether you honestly think this is paranormal or not. This is why I'm doing this. I want to get the information, and if I just open one person's mind, it would make me, it really, really would make me feel so good and so happy. And yeah, this is my part in trying to do something good and to get, real information out there. And I hope that you've learned at least one way now that you know about the energy grids, about the sun, about these times, these dates all around the world where the Earth's magnetic field is at its most powerful. Hopefully maybe you can decide that you want to look into that and see, what positive things you can do to add to the positive energy to interact with all this evil and the horrible things that are just happening right now. But yeah, this is the end of my video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make good decisions, whether you're trying to decide whether to believe this or not. I hope you take it with a grain of salt, and I hope you've learned something. Until my next video, see you later. Mwah.